Hey, I'm Srini, the creator of Maximize Your Output with Mem. Are you struggling to manage tasks and projects in Mem? Well, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use collections to track tasks, monitor their status, and manage your projects. Now, let's get to the video. What I want to do in this video is go over how you manage tasks and projects in Mem using collections. Somebody in the Slack group asked about how to deal with tasks and projects inside of Mem. After Mem changed the new interface, the task view that used to be there is no longer there. This is a pretty good workaround to be able to not only manage projects and tasks, but also track the status of those tasks. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to create a project mem. It is basically an overview of the project with all the different objectives. You have your timeline, and then you have your tasks. And so we're, in this case, using something called, an organizing local charity run event, which is our project. And you can see here that we also have a list of tasks. And this is where your task mems are going to be. So one of the things that I think people are running into is the fact that you don't have any way to track tasks. And it's kind of inefficient to create a mem for every single task because it would just be a kind of a useless note. And I finally realized probably the best way to do this is to actually have collections and then have certain mems that are dedicated specifically to tasks. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of task mems here. So what these task mems are, you can see they're called demo task. They're basically our promote event, secure event permits, coordinate volunteers. So what we want to do with these task mems first is we want to actually add them to our project plan mem. So let's go ahead and cut and paste these because we want to link all the most important things to this project into the project plan itself. But by using collections, we actually spend a bit less cognitive bandwidth. So we'll just go ahead and turn these all into task bullets. So each one of these becomes a task within the project. But what's different about using tasks this way is that each one of these mems, as you'll see, is an overarching task. So in this case, coordinate volunteers. But in these bigger tasks, you're going to have subtasks. And rather than creating mems for all the subtasks, what you're going to do is create a mem for the big overarching task that is related to your project. So that way it keeps things relatively clean without creating a lot of unnecessary menace. Coordinate volunteers is kind of broad, and I think that that's a good way to think about when you should have a task mem versus subtasks. So that way within the coordinate volunteers task, you can see what all the subtasks are, and you're able to kind of just work within a single task and do all the subtasks within it. So it actually makes your whole project management much more efficient because you're basically focusing on one task at a time in a lot of ways. So you can see here, you have recruit volunteers. So basically it's everything related to coordinating volunteers goes into this one. So we had 3 different task maps. Now, the issue here is that this is all well and good, but how are you going to track the progress on all of these tasks? And that's where collections come in. Before we get deeper into the video, I have something special for you. If you're looking for a way to optimize your workflow and boost your productivity, I've got just the thing. It's a free custom second brain plan that's tailored to your unique needs. This plan will help you manage your information more effectively and focus on what truly matters. It's a customized blueprint for building your second brain in MEM. To get your free plan, visit maximizeyouroutput.com/custom. It's a game changer for your productivity, and I can't wait for you to try it out. Now let's get back to the video. And so when you set up a project and want to manage it, you have to set up 3 different collections. The first is going to be project-related tasks. And in this case, we would call that charity run tasks because of the fact that our project in this case is a local charity run event. So what we're going to do is create a collection. We're going to call it demo charity run tasks, and then add all of our tasks from the charity run project plan into this collection. Let's go back to where we were before and look at what we've got here. So we've got our demo. So what we're going to do here is we're going to basically add everything into the task. You can also create a collection for the overarching project where you add everything related to that project into one collection. So for example, you just have a charity run collection. And I actually think that that is actually really useful because it makes it much easier to find anything related to a particular project. So in this case, we've got each task mem. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and add those to our charity run collection. And each one of them becomes part of the tasks collection that we just created. And what's the advantage of this? Well, the upside of this is that all you have to do is look at the charity run tasks, and you can see all the tasks that need to be completed just by referencing the collection. If we move this over here, and then basically what you'll see is if we click on the collection, you have your project plan here on the left. And not only that, you're able to see all the different tasks that need to be completed in order to finish this project. So that's actually a pretty seamless way to manage your entire sort of task workflow. Now, finally, we have one component of this that actually really matters. So if we go back to our outline here and we look at our final step here, which is these status collections. So what's the point of a status collection? Well, status collection is basically going to tell you what the status of that task is. And one of the reasons it doesn't make sense to create a specific status collection for this one project is because you're going to probably have multiple projects, and it's better to have a generalized status collection. So that way, regardless of what the project is, you can just add it all to the collection so you get a bird's eye view of all of your projects simultaneously. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to create a completed tasks collection. You can see that if we go to our completed task collection, you'll see that this mem is part of the completed tasks. So let's say that we finished coordinating volunteers. So then what we can do is we can add coordinating volunteers to our completed task collection. So now what we're going to do is create one final collection, and we'll call this our tasks in progress collection. And so now what you have basically is a bird's eye view of not only this project. So if you go to demo charity run tasks and we look at this task collection, you can see here that Mananage does its own thing. But the other thing is that if we were to go into one of these tasks, we can look into the completed task collection. You'll see here that these are our tasks in progress. But we also have a finished task in this case, which we said was coordinating the volunteers earlier. So let's go ahead and click on the coordinate volunteers task. And what you'll see here is that this task is now part of the completed task collection. So effectively what you're doing is you're creating collections to manage tasks. So let's go back over the primary steps here. We're going to go through each of them. The first step is going to be to create your project mem, which is basically the central hub for the entire project. Think of it just sort of as a project briefing in a lot of ways. So you have that. It gives you the overview, the objectives, like what is the purpose of this project. Then you're going to break this down into some bigger tasks. For example, we have this local charity run, which requires us to coordinate volunteers, secure permits, and promote the event. So you can kind of think of those as mini projects or sprints within each project. And within each of those, what you'll need to do is then create subtasks. So that way, even though you don't have every single task you need to do for a project, you know what you need to do because the core tasks, the things that really kind of make this whole thing come together, are there as tasks in the project plan. And then within them, you have these subtasks. So it streamlines the entire project management process. So as we saw before, we created a charity run tasks collection, which is what we want to do. So we want to create a collection specifically for all project related tasks. Then you want to create a collection that you're going to use all the time, regardless of the project. That's going to be your tasks in progress collection and your completed task collection. And once you do all that, you effectively have a way to get a bird's eye view of all of the projects that you're working on there, all the tasks that are important to them, and you can drill down into any of the bigger tasks to get a view of your subtasks. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, but somebody in the Slack group mentioned this as something that they were struggling with, so I wanted to do an updated tutorial on this, even though I've done one before.